Thank you, and good afternoon. It's certainly a pleasure to be here, and also a pleasure to be able to share with you some of the experiences when it comes to how we help companies to regionalize and globalize their operations. So while I represent ASOCIO in this event as a Secretary General, I also play another role as the Chief Executive at PICOM. So PICOM is the National Technology Association of Malaysia, very similar to what VINASA is or many of the other associations here. So what I'll do is maybe do a little bit of sharing in terms of what are the international experiences, but I'll try to provide a little bit more input as the slides just provide a guidance in terms of what we are trying to do. So a little bit about PICOM's international foray, and also a little bit about, I think this is an opportunity for that ASOCIO can play in terms of assisting the many economies, the 24 economies in this region, to be able to globalize as well as to be able to find partnership among itself. I think we need to continue to build on that. ASOCIO represents 24 economies from the Northeast, Japan, Korea, all the way to the western part of Asia, Pakistan, and to the south in Australia. So we represent a large pool of technology players and companies through our respective associations. And how do we leverage on that strength? We have tried, I think ASOCIO has played a key role. This plenary meeting is one of them. At the year-end, CISA, which is our Taiwan partner, is hosting the ASOCIO Digital Summit, which is a key event of the organization each year. So these are some of the platforms. In addition to that, ASOCIO also realized that we are not all the same. As I think my friend Kawamoto-san from JISA mentioned, we need to also understand the local market, the local situation that we are in. Malaysia is different from Singapore in terms of digital adoption. Japan certainly is also different from Nepal. And we come from, I think, different platforms at this point in time. So we need to understand that the digital adoption of different countries would go through a journey, and not all of us are the same. So what ASOCIO has done, for example, is also to organize multilateral trade visits, or what we call MTVs. This is also to allow some of the smaller economies, the economies of, say, for example, Nepal or Bhutan. I remember even Mongolia hosting some of these multilateral trade visits that will allow our organization, say for example Malaysian companies or Taiwanese companies or Japanese companies, to explore markets that they don't traditionally think as being fruitful markets for them. But there are actually a lot of opportunities that you find through cross-collaboration. So what we hope to do, I think certainly we are delighted to be in Hanoi today. But I think we see a lot of energy in the Vietnamese economy. I think certainly compared to some of the other economies, there are some challenges when it comes to tariff. Recently, PICOM, we just released our thought leadership paper on the impact of tariffs to the Malaysian business community. But again, the tariff situation is hopefully a short-term pain, and we don't know where this is heading. So this is something that we hope to get some degree of clarity as the Trump administration discusses with all the other economies in this region and beyond. At this point in time, the Malaysian government is also hosting the ASEAN Summit. And I think many of our prime ministers and presidents are in Kuala Lumpur at this point in time, attending the ASEAN Summit. And why is that important? Again, talking about international cooperation, which is also very apt to this topic that we have here today. How international cooperation among all our economies, we can then enter a third, say, business community. One of the things that we have done, I'm just thinking about, China is not a member of ASOCIO, but we do a lot of business with China. And one thing that through CISA, for example, what they have done is they've organized trade visits to the Fujian province or Xiamen, especially in Xiamen. And this allowed quite a number of companies, especially Malaysian companies, to attend the event organized by CISA to be able to penetrate into the Chinese market. So that's something that we see happening on a regular basis, and I think we can continue to build upon that. Okay, I think AI somehow, someone asked me, out of PICOM, we have about 500 plus corporate members, vendors, and of course we also represent total about 2,000 members, but 500 plus vendors or providers of technology, and they ask a question, how many of our members are involved in AI? Today, if I were to say that they're not involved in AI, it means they're probably not in technology. Whether or not their application or the software that they're doing, or even if their hardware distribution, they will be involved in AI in one way or another. So I think this is also an opportunity for collaboration among the Asian economies or the Asian Oceanian economies in terms of what are some of these applications that are available. Many of the applications today we are seeing are retrofitting AI into their current application. But there are also newer applications, and I think this is where I think collaboration can happen, in which we will find application that's born native using AI. So this is also another area of that we can look at how AI can impact businesses and the community as well as national governments across the Asia Pacific. So AI is certainly, I think you can see that in terms of productivity improvements, cost reduction, as well as workforce transformation, and providing analytics, predictive analytics or smart decision making. Today we expect by 2030 the impact of AI to reach 1 trillion in terms of GDP contribution across the globe. So certainly I think we'll see a lot of that. In some, we talk about collaboration. This is what something that we picked up, but of course there are many, many more examples of that. For example, in Vietnam, I understand there's quite a fair bit in the area of cancer detection. I think we see in healthcare, so it's said as auto, but let me just go back. In government, for example, a lot of the queries are done by AI chatbot. 2 weeks ago, I spoke to an audience of not IT professionals, but professionals in the field of, say, medical, in engineering, as well as in legal. So I spoke to a bunch of lawyers on the impact of AI on their business. So many of the accountants, for example, the engineers, they are also asking, how is that going to impact their jobs or in the near future? Because AI will displace many of us. 5 years ago, I thought, yes, AI is here. The best job to be in is technology, because technology, is required, the algorithms, the programming. But today, a lot of the coding can also be done by AI. So a lot of the computer science, the coding folks, also asking, what is that going to be? But one of the stories I remember, this is about almost 10 years ago, when I had the opportunity to meet, to listen, actually not to meet, to listen to Stephen Wozniak, which is Steve Jobs' partner at Apple. And one of the things he said that sometimes we are too hung up about the problems of the future, worrying too much about the future. When the US, during the second industrial revolution, were building the railroads across the United States, many people felt that jobs would be displaced and many people would be out of jobs. But one of the things about the human resiliency, and I think I'll talk about resiliency in a little while, is that somehow we adapt. Humans generally adapt and be able to contribute in new ways. So for example, in the railroad, they thought that many people who were delivering mail or letters across the United States will be out of job. But they found new jobs, and this is, I think, the opportunity for many of us. I think skills is one of the things that we also can collaborate, and I'll come back to that. Skills in the area of, in terms of standardized skills for the industry. How can we have standardized skills across, say, Asia Pacific? That has been something that we've been talking about. We did a ASOCIO HR landscape study, talent landscape study last year, and we promulgated some of the ideas in which we are saying, how can we push certain standards that we can be applied across. So if we call ourselves a programmer, what are some of the skills that we have as a programmer? So how can we bring this forward? The slides is set as auto, so it's moving much faster than I speak, but I get happy to share with you some of these slides. So some of the key takeaway, we learn from each other. In fact, as I came into this hall, one of the things that Jiang spoke to me about is how can associations, some of the challenges that associations face in terms of helping our members and be relevant to our members, especially in light of many of the governments are also doing the same things that associations are doing. So one of the things that we're trying to do is how can we learn from one another? Second is I think this is also an opportunity for Asian economies or Asia, Oceania, including of course Australia, New Zealand and the Pacific. How can we take the lead in some of these areas where we will see the impact that this region can make? I think we can certainly do that. Thirdly, of course, we can lift each other, which means lifting each other means is also to be able to support one another. I mentioned early on at the beginning of the message is not all of us start from the same plane. Some of us, of course, are a little bit more mature in terms of adoption, but we can lift each other in terms of helping each other's economy. And that is, in many cases, a win-win. For the country receiving the aid, is certainly a win in terms of technology transfer. But for the country that provides that, there will be business opportunities for their companies as well. Hopefully, of that, set some global trends. Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, I think we are in, and all the countries in this region, I think there's a lot of the younger workforce. Of course, in Japan, in Korea, the older workforce, but we need to complement each other in terms of learning from one another, providing technology transfer as well to create a very resilient and impactful generation for years to come. So I think we have a shared mission, and I think ASOCIO can play an important role there. It's just that we need to galvanize our members to make sure they are active. There are many programs that ASOCIO does over the course of the year, and how can we make sure that our members are part of this. Our members means the ASOCIO members, which are the companies like NTT Data. They talked about entering new markets. There are many companies who play an important role in terms of helping companies to grow, and the associations can play this role as well. So we'd like to see additional collaboration. We'd like to see additional input from all our members so that we can make this a more impactful organization. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your time. I'd like to thank you for your attention, and I wish you all the best. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.